Так, уважаемые коллеги, мы начинаем круглый стол.
Dear colleagues, we start our roundtable called The Prospects of Innovations of Ground Vehicles Under Permafrost Degradation. First of all, I would like to say that we are now located at the Northern Sustainable Development Forum venue. It's been organized for the third year already. That's why we want to thank the organizers for giving us an opportunity to discuss such a crucial topic. There is a history that preceded the topic that we want to discuss today. The problem of transport accessibility of northern territories has always been an issue, a challenge, and recently it is becoming more and more urgent. Right now it is a burning issue, and the project was, and the problems were verbalized at the Congress of Engineers. In the Institute of Bauman, we initiated a project, and why we launched it. Back in 2013, we had real difficult situation with northern supply of goods, especially in Ustyana district of Yakutia, where a lot of materials and food had to be delivered, and there was a big delay, and we tried to solve this using aviation. But there was one accident, and with lost lives, so it was also not a very good solution. Anyway, today, with our colleagues from other agencies, councils, institutions, we are improving technological regulations of the customs union for transportation means. It has to do with upgrading and improving the transportation means, the vehicles for cold climates. So it has to do with all the technical equipments and adjustments. And the second thing is that we succeeded in creating good conditions for a new nomination, equipment and machinery for cold climates at the Russian contest of engineers. And we even have some winners in that nomination already. And today, we launched an online exhibition of all-terrain vehicles and northern transportation. You can visit it during the forum, and you will see all the solutions and developments that we have today. Of course, we presented a lot of machinery, equipment, vehicles, but there are vehicles not only manufactured at factories and plants, but there are also some handmade vehicles. As part of this roundtable, we would like to elevate this problem to a higher level. We want a good factory-made design of northern vehicles, and we want to use the state-of-the-art developments in these vehicles. That's why today we would love to find some common grounds and get some networking with some state programs that help us solve these problems. And opening this roundtable, I will remind you about the time frames. We have very strict time frames, so it's very accurate. We'll try to keep to it minute by minute. Every presentation has 7 minutes. And please keep to the time frames. And what we have approved.
Recording in progress.
I would like to give the floor for Mr. Sergei Drukarenko, the Vice President, First Secretary of the Russian Union of Scientific and Engineering Public Associations, First Vice President of the International Union of Scientific and Engineering Public Association. Hello, dear colleagues, can you hear me? Hello, dear Andrei, Alexander, dear friends and colleagues. I greet all the participants of the Roundtable on behalf of the Supreme Engineering Council of Russia, International Union of Scientific and Engineering Public Associations. Today we really want to support the developments, the progress of technological modernization for sustainable development of economy. Over the last 100 years, the relations between human and planet have changed. Now we need to implement coordinated action in order to meet global challenges. As you know, UN developed a concept of sustainable development, and it is addressing all kinds of problems for interaction of society and environment. And these sustainable development goals are universal. They are relevant for all the countries, especially for our country, because we lag behind in many domains. And the key aspects of sustainable developments are innovation, climate change, mitigation of risks, sustainable consumption, production, education, cooperation, biodiversity conservation, and liquidation of the poor. And technological solutions are a key part of this. We have to develop long-term solutions that will have an impact globally and locally. And today, we have to use the latest scientific achievements. Without using modern technologies, we cannot compete in the market. We have to do a lot. We have to fight climate change, ecological problems, urbanization, and interact with artificial intelligence, and of course, transportation in northern climates. We are looking forward for some prolific discussions and sharing of experience, because it is us, engineers, on who the sustainable development of economy relies. And I wish everyone fruitful work, and thank you for inviting me to speak at this roundtable. Good luck, everyone. Thank you so much, Sergei, for your kind words. Indeed, climate change. We have it in the title of our roundtable. Permafrost is degrading. It is a burning issue and a reason to work on our vehicles to improve them. Let me then give the floor to Alexander Myarin, the Executive Secretary of the Supreme Engineering Council of the Republic of Sakha, advisor to the Director of the State Autonomous Institution Technopark.
Так, значит, хочу сразу сказать, что уточнение произошло в названии, ну, прежней заявленной. Сейчас ее покажут. А пока предлагаю посмотреть вот то, что вот за нами на фоне. Вот с этой стороны стенд.
I want you to see the stands that are behind us. They were represented on the first oil forum in our republic. In September of this year. Said that our project was in development. So this project we started in 2014 with the Department of Wheeled Vehicles of the Bauman University. And also we had help from the head of the department, but right now he's in a different forum. But here we have his colleagues, so they deserve to show this project too. So next slide. With our state standards, in May of 2020, there was new standards were involved, but they are still not included in the technical requirements. If you see here, it's I1 is the territory of the very code, code territory, and we call it Republic of Sakha code territory with the additional territories from different regions. But until it's included in technical rules, so until it's included, there will not be any vehicles, even like fire trucks. On this territory, there was harsh conditions like minus 45 degrees Celsius. And like formally right now, fire trucks cannot be driven in a temperature of minus 45 degrees Celsius. Like most of the cars of the fire trucks are conditioned only for minus 28 or minus 32 degrees. So we need to work together with the colleagues from this territory. Next slide, please. Because it was way back before, back at the time when Russia got into World Trade Organization. In 1999, there was a vehicle expedition of technical park of State University. You can see on the slide is the maximum trope that was achieved until now. And here are the results of this expedition in February of '99, all the challenges from the Ministry of Russian Federation. And here, that all the parts that was included in scheme of 2020 of Russian Federation, that the red marking shows the cycle that is broken at the moment. At that moment, I was working as the main engineer, and when I was working, that cycle was already broken.
Приняты на основе вот общения. Руководители этого проекта также ездили в Мирный, общались.
And all the heads of these projects, they also traveled to Munich City. Here we can see that the certifications are still not intact, and there is still no development at this stage in this place. In 2011, when the technical rules were accepted, and it should be added in 2015, but there was no requirements for it. So we from our republic tried to connect with, and for some reason these rules were still not accepted at that time. And also the rule of the pollution from the vehicles were also declined. On the next slide, you can see new state regulation. And on this slide, the innovation ecosystem of Republic of Sakha-Yakutia is presented. All the branches that presented here, all the members of this system should be invested in researching this issue. Also, the Northern Forum always supports us too. And there's also a Center of Engineering that is also a member of this ecosystem, support us. And we're working together. And we hope that the specifications of the extreme codes will be much more effective in this innovation system. And also we hope it will also be included in ecosystems of other regions. On this slide, you can see the situation that in 2013, when the disaster with Mi-8 happened, and as you can remember, in this the transport vehicle got into crash and lots of people died because of it, even children. And this tragedy led to the new event that of the Ministry of Transport of Russian Federation. And also we got our colleagues from Krasnoyarsk region included in this conversation. And as a result of it, there is new state rules were accepted. It is still not included in technical regulations. At this moment when we were working on this stated standard, the, the regular vehicles is the main part of the whole system. In this moment we can see that we research the prognosis of government health, and we need to check them again, count them, and get them to the end. And here actually what concerns us, the green stripe line. It's on the development of normal standards. You can see that summary is almost in billions of rubles. And you can see that here is the Kamat earthquake. In 2009, we tried to get the attention of the investors. We tried out in a competition, and because of the result of this competition, we got this KAMAZ. And this year we already traveled. And this year we got lucky because the December was unusually cold. And we traveled to Kuvar and Ustyansky region of Russia. And here is something about the local vehicles. Some of the regions of our public should also get those vehicles. And I want all of you to thank for the attention to my presentation. And if we I want to remind you that one of the organizers of this event is Chamber of Commerce, and if there will be any solutions for this problem of the ground vehicles. As I already answered on this slide, that we had some answers from the Ministry of Transportation of Russian Federation, but when we were talking with them, why we still didn't have any answer, the answer is most of the time was the question is already old, and but the solution to this problem all of your colleagues and neighbor regions should also get into the solution. So that's why we will be asking our colleagues from other regions, and because of it, Krasnoyarsk region is already in the work with us. We can prepare or be for it in Ministry of Transportation. Uh, because of it, Chamber of Commerce of Russian Federation is also uh, paying some attention to this problem, and the Agency of Strategic Initiatives also needs to look it up, and it's pre-last step that is we're at the moment right now. So uh, let us give the uh, word to Toyo Daniilov. He is the head of the Laboratories of Permafrost Soils Research Institute of Applied Ecology at Northeastern Federal University. Good day, dear colleagues.
О изменении климата, современного климата.
Long story short, it's the climate change and the specification of the nature of Yakutia. Our institute researches all of the natural resources sites for already a couple of decades. And on this slide, you can see the locations of examined sites, and you can see that their examinations were not only on the lower sites but on the mountain regions too. We already researched some solution, some answers of why the climate change happened. And all the 1,000 years ago, when also the warm global warming situation that was happening 1,000 years ago, and on this, and today we can. Some people probably heard that there is global warming already going on, but actually there is global chilling. And at this moment that we can see that the temperature is rising. And this model was already developed by our foreign colleagues. And what's happened? Because of the temperature rising and the condensation, this summer already showed us that the central territory of Yakutia, because of the rising of the temperature, the intense condensation is happening. We have really dry summers, and that's why it goes into the changing of the ecosystem. The transformation of the soil and also the components of this ecosystem. And long story short, there's global change, climate changes in cryolitho zones happening into uh, reconstruction of deserts, how deserts and strong winds. You can probably imagine how it was at the ice age. You can look it up at the reconstruction of the ice age in the internet, and so the climate needs to head into this today's temperature standards. And we need to also think about how the vehicles will be working on this kind of soil, and how is the anthropological impact will do on this nature. And the modern soil territory you can see on this slide. We can see the Arctic zone is already showing on this map. The mountain territories, you can see how specific they are and how they are with some special soils. On the next slide, the soil here is, there's a lot of soils, and as you can see here, if we gonna talk about it, it'll take a lot of time. So with the impact, the main changes are the degradation of the upper level of permafrost. It's happening because of the ecological problems on the upper levels, where you can see the root system in these northern soils. It's up to 10 centimeters, and at this level will be destructed and the thermal processes will kick in. And on this slide you can see it's young. And you can see like it's how this plateau is already ruined. You can see the whole of the 10-year streak is already up to 10 meters. And it all depends on the natural conditions of the and the activity that is depends on the condition of the nature around it, and a lot of other factors too. And as a result, we need to create the new kind of vehicles with the specifications of our roads and of our region. And we need to count in the climate change with specified winds and anything else like that. So thank you for your attention.
Если есть вопросы, то...
Да, акцентировать внимание на этой проблеме, которая существует. А вот Абрага, Петр Петрович, сейчас один вопрос, да, вот образование, да, это...
Problem, like the ravine creation is a long process, but what kind of vehicle do we need for this kind of roads? We have the all-drive vehicles here, and also we need that we need level it up. Like we need to create some more roads and not like it was before, but in a new way, so the corrosion will not be developed as quick as before. Thank you very much. This is a really interesting topic. If we don't have any more questions.
То, что обычно в тундре гусеничные ходят, и там дороги, как раньше говорили,
like in the tundra, when we had roads that are as wide as 1 kilometer, and how the wide roads can be a solution to this question. And in some specific territories, as I said before, if it will be destructed, thermocast processes will kick in, and it's an unreversible process. And what we need to do, get into caterpillar kind of vehicles, and especially with the low pressure wheel vehicles. If we don't have any further questions, we're moving up. Next, with Director of Scientific Education of Center Kamaz Bauman, Associate Professor of the Department of Wheel Vehicles of Bauman University.
Hello, dear friends. I will show my presentation now, and I will explain you the results of the work that we've been working on for almost 18 years.
Прошу подтвердить, видно ли сейчас экран мой?
Can you see my screen? So the work is developing high-efficiency wheel transportation for an advanced socio-economical development of the far north of Russia. Of course, this task is very important because we have to develop far north, and then we come across a problem of connectivity. First of all, we have to deliver fuels, food, construction materials, equipment. We have to transport human resources, and it is becoming even more complicated because there are no roads in the north. And one of the options to solve this is to develop vehicles, four-wheel drive vehicles for the north. So our main target was to provide connectivity of the far north And we will be looking into those vehicles that only have wheels, not tracks. So we had to solve a number of tasks. First of all, we considered the interaction of wheels with the road surface. Then we have to develop new methods and theories and experiments on environmental impacts of large tires on the vegetational cover. And we also provided scientific foundation for parameters of such vehicles, of such tires, and decided on the sizes of these low-pressure large tires. We also provided some scientific foundations for creating vehicles with a load from 400 to 10,000 kilos with low-pressure tires that can be economically efficient because they are widely manufactured in Russia, which is very important for this work. And we also tested these vehicles in the far north, including in Yakutia. Recently, KAMAZ Arctic was tested here. And we also started manufacturing of some vehicles and developed methods to calculate the lifetime of these of different parts of the vehicles in northern conditions. Usually the lifespan in the north is shorter, but sometimes it's economically efficient because otherwise we'll have to develop other units and parts of the equipment. Otherwise, it will become too expensive. So here you can see the main solutions that also were mentioned by my colleagues. First of all, starting from 400 kilograms, 6x6 quadricycle, also with low pressure tires. We also have this vehicle that our company started to produce, and it's called Trek All. Right now it's a separate company. They are now working independently. Next one, Avtoros. Again, the Bauman Moscow State Technical University started to develop these and developed the technical requirements. The number 4, Magnitka, 4x4. Then number 5, Ural Polarnik. I've seen myself that they are actively used. And number 6, KAMAZ Arctica. It's a series of trucks, 6x6 and 8x8. And one of the peculiarities of such vehicles is that they have a large diameter tires, at least larger than the previous ones, but at the same time we put them closer to the frame, which allowed us to get rid of large wheel arcs. So it's quite mobile and can be used at regular roads as well. And then it can switch to the off-road mode. And the experiments showed that it's quite a viable solution. All the wheeled vehicles were developed using the technology of digital twins, imitation modeling of all kinds of systems, topological modeling, optimization. So we are using a lot of modern skills and tools to create new, improved wheeled vehicles. And we save on tests. Even sample one tests can be excluded in this regard. And these are the number of tests that we've done over the years of our work. And we tried them not only at special test facilities, but also in the field and expeditions in Yamal Peninsula and Yakutia. KAMAZ Arctica was recently tested in Yakutia, and I think they were very successful. We found out some errors. Some of them are due to technology, some of them already have been eliminated. So as a result of our work, what do we have? Based on theory and experiments, we found out that out of all the variety of these vehicles, the most usable for the Arctic are wheel vehicles at large, low-pressure tires. We want to underline, we think low-pressure tires will be better than tracks. At the same time, we have all the capacities in Russia to produce, massively produce these tires in Russia. We won't need to invent something new. The second one, during R&D, we calculated the classes by the load on axis and by some other parameters, including the ability to cross waters, the size of the vehicle, transmissions, power units. And number three, over the years of our work, we've done and we've produced almost 500 real vehicles that are now used by Gazprom, Rosneft, etc., in agriculture and forestry as well. So this was my very short brief report, and I'm ready to answer your questions. You're almost in time, but we still have some time for one question, if you have any. I have one question. You mentioned Dakar Rally, and KAMAZ is a very successful participant of that rally. So where there are these serious some companies in Yakutia who help us to test, but there is kind of a problem. There are no testing facilities, standing testing facilities, but if we test in real conditions without testing sites, I think they bring better results. But if some company wants our vehicles to acquire our vehicles to test them, yes, that would be very useful. And will facilitate the interaction with KAMAZ, the manufacturer. Thank you. There is one more question. We have some troubles with connection, but we would like to also hear from the KAMAZ itself. So now I give the floor to Alexander Yeliseyev, the head of the Department of Strategic Marketing and the Development Director of Ural Automobile Plant, Moscow. Alexander, please. Hello. Can you hear me? Yes. Hello. On behalf of the Ural Automobile Factory, I greet everyone at this round table. Our factory is turning 80 years this year, and we are known for the machinery that we produce for very complex conditions like northern conditions. And this year, together with South Urals State University and Bauman State University, we started a project on creation of a family of vehicles and machinery to be used at -50°C and below. The Ministry of Education and Science of Russia supported us, and the R&D that is done by the Bauman University and South Urals University, they are subsidized, funded by the ministry. This project envisages not only designing but also production. We started it in July of this year, and the completion and production of experimental samples will be in 2022. So what are the problems that people in the north face? First of all, it's isolated communities, low accessibility, underdevelopment of road infrastructure. Everything impacts the quality of life. And all those indicators that are there in the strategy of development of the Arctic zone of the Russian Federation. We have a whole set of documents in Russia that provide the targets of those indicators that we have to improve, because we have to improve quality of life. It's making education more accessible, making medicine more, healthcare more accessible, but also there is transportation. So what is our goal in this project? To provide this safe, well-being, higher quality of life in the north for the people, first of all. We want to create a transportation solution, not just one vehicle that will be just somewhere out there by itself, but a whole system, a family of vehicles that could be used for transportation of both cargoes or passengers, but also to provide those targets in the strategy, in the nationwide strategy, like delivering medicines to remote settlements, delivering educational modules, supporting all educational activities. So in our project, we are creating and focusing on a whole family of vehicles. First one is the model sample. It is under manufacturing right now. By the end of this year, it will be ready, and we plan to test it next year. Then, of course, we will adjust it during summer, adjust all those systems that we will think we'll need to adjust, and then test it for the second time next summer to test low pressure tires, large tires, also to test and adjust chassis and the body in order to really live up to those obligations that we have under this project, because we really have to make this viable. It has to be operated not only at minus 50, we want minus 60, and we want the bulk of the parts of these vehicles to be compliant with northern conditions. Then we will start to manufacture the test vehicles, sample vehicles. We'll be working on the tech documentation, and then there is the Arctic bus. I think this bus will be very nice to transport some mobile systems that will contribute to improving social, medical, educational domains. I think it will be helpful in all of them. It's number 2 on the picture. And as our colleagues from KAMAZ company, I think low pressure, large tires is the most appropriate for Arctic environment. And our vision of the transport solutions that can be used in the Arctic are vehicles based on such wheels. And the vehicles that we are developing we have here their preliminary technical characteristics and specifications. It will be up to 70 tons, and their load capacity will be from 5 or higher. We are trying to make it as light as possible, but our task is to use the serial existing solutions that can be easily manufactured, because we want to make these vehicles accessible for everyone, and that can be used as a set of vehicles. Only in this case it will be really effective in solving the tasks. And that's it from me. Thank you so much. So do we have questions? Alexander Blakhin from Nizhny Novgorod. I have a question to Yeliseyev. We've discussed this question with Bauman. Minus 50, does it have to do with the GOST requirements? Because we only have GOST, which are technical specifications requirements, stage requirements. We only have these GOSTs up to minus 50. But what about minus 60? And what if we test it in Yakutia? Yes, you answered your question yourself. So it only has to do with the regulations. You want to make it minus 60, but the existing regulations say that it should be minus 50. Yes, exactly. And our other goal is to also improve technical requirements for polar modifications, and to bring the temperatures down to minus 60 on the state level instead of minus 50. And we're ready to facilitate and support this initiative. We're ready. For some reason, I cannot hear the studio. Maybe there was another question. I want to ask a question, colleagues. I wanted to ask you, do you plan to use tires of larger diameter on your vehicle? Am I right? Yes, much larger than the regular tires. Ural trucks, as far as I remember, between the second and the third axis, there is only 1,400 millimeters. So it really limits the size of your tires. How do you see the solution to this problem? We want to solve it as follows. At our model sample, next year we want to install these large tires, and we will enlarge the hind part for that, and suspension will be pneumatic in order to avoid any limitations. And we want to make it very simply. We just want to widen or lengthen that part. What about tires? We haven't decided yet. We have some offers, some quotations, including different types of rubber for -60, and we want to test it next year. But there is still no final decision regarding exactly which tires we will be using. Please pay attention to our tires then. Yes, if you send us your quotation, we'll be ready to consider it.
Просто, конечно, мы будете, можете обсуждать и через нас.
Of course, you can discuss it later.
Вы слышите нас, да?
Я прошу прощения, моя очередь?
So is it my turn?
Тогда одну секундочку, я открою презентацию.
Give me 1 second. I will open up my presentation. On the screen is Alexander Bertin, the head of the research laboratory, special machines and mechanisms of Nizhny Novgorod State Technical University. About the joint event were talks in Technopark of Yakutia, so we hope that it will happen. And we hope your colleagues, if you can see on the screen, is everything here? I want to talk about the family of the all-terrain vehicles Rusak. They were released in 2020. This vehicle was developed with the help of the government of special research and development, with the help of the National University, Alexeyev National University, and it's the 31st year of the creation of our company, and since 2020 we started to develop new all-terrain vehicles that's named Rusak, and it's really good on uh, harsh climate regions and Arctic zone too. And it, as I said it in the presentation, uh, this vehicle is really good at the for the rescue missions, for the long road trip. And because my time is limited, I want to say the main thing. While we was working on this vehicle, it was very unique vehicle with wheel formula of 8 on 8, 6 on 8, 4 on 4 on wheels of low pressure, and 650 is the wide of the wheel. While we were creating this vehicle, from the safety view, from the ecology view, and the stability of the vehicle. While it was in the works, in different conditions, we paid attention for uh, all the kind of different uh, climates like deep snow, and we uh, developed a lot of different uh, for vehicle. And while we were creating this series of the vehicles, we needed to create the whole series of it on with the same systems, uh, with all the transmission and all the wheel systems and all the systems that works in the car. And as a whole, I can say that uh, that Rusak vehicles has around 30 types, and on the previous slide you could see only the part of them. If we want to structurize this vehicle, we can highlight the construction of the power pressure with a diesel engine with mechanical automatic transmission, but our series of the vehicles has a hybrid power setup that I will talk about later, and construction of the vehicle is ready to transport passengers, to transport the cargo, and you could count it as the Arctic bus. And on the basis of this vehicle, you could add some additional tuning. And the wheel formula is 8 on 8, 6 on 8, 6, and 4 on 4. As much as I know, we are the only developers of the vehicles with power setups that are ready to be created, ready to be uh, really releasing it simultaneously. And as we said it before on this roundtable, that I want you to pay attention for the cars of this hybrid power setup. One of the main reasons why it's better is because of the ecological uh, reports. In the near future, all the references that this car has will be actual. Like you said before, we need a car there for the temperature of minus 50 Celsius, degrees Celsius, and our cars are ready to answer this question. uh, I want to highlight that this type of vehicles are really special for this kind of condition, and all the abilities that this vehicle has are pretty wide, and they can be used as a power stations and also some automobile robots can be used in a vehicle. We already presented these are at other presentations, and one of the most special things that we are proud of is the hybrid power setup, and with the power of the engine of 200 kilowatts, and also the special heating system in for the harsh climate. For this perspective, for this perspective direction, we already have the answers. So the main characteristic of our all-terrain vehicles are the six-step transmission with independent and hydraulics. And also the two-axis system of steering wheel control, also with special wide wheels for the low pressure. There was some picture of the inside of the car. And what are the main differences from the most of other vehicles that are presented today on the market? One of the main differences is that we have our own aggregates. We work on our own transmissions, and all-terrain vehicle transmission is one of the weakest parts that are developed at the moment. So with our technology, they already getting better. And we have the requirement of our all-terrain vehicle should have around 200,000 kilometers of probable road longevity, and because our vehicles can swim too, we develop our own water pressure devices, the 2-4 layers. The next difference is from our other all-terrain vehicles that we are developing special types of the car for the needs of the customer. And our own water cannon system is really provides good speed and good power in water system. And all the specifications of our vehicles are meets the requirements of all the all-terrain type vehicles. like the vehicles 808 type, we have they can take on the board for around 3 tons of weight, and they can speed up to 60 kilometers per hour on a hard terrain, and it's one of our good differences. And we had experiment of our car on Chukotka region, and in 2018 they were in Yakutia too. And on this region in Yakutia, we also had a lot of trials and tests. And because of it in Yakutia, we had the road of distance of 2,000 kilometers without any issues. And they were tested at the time of spring when all the roads are in a mess. So since 2021, our vehicles are already in the works in Krasnoyarsk region and Chukotka and Ямало-Ненецк region. And that's what I wanted to tell about our researches, about our vehicles that we developed with the help of our partners. As part of our goal program. And thank you very much for your attention.
Александр Николаевич, я просто, когда на форуме армии такой же вопрос задал о бурлаку, у них своя шина есть.
And I wanted to ask a question about the wheels
В принципе, мы уже обсуждали, у нас есть
to Burlak.
модельщики, у них проблема с шинами. Не могли бы им помочь
And like some of the
следующей версии своих?
our colleagues had some problem with tires, and if you could help them
В качестве эксперимента
with the researches and tests, they can work with your tires. And with great pleasure, we would like to help our colleagues
Смурыгина, который будет позже,
with all of our power.
ну и, возможно, по депутатскому. Все, спасибо.
Так, ну, маленький вопрос. Ну, все-таки вот география внедрения на сегодня какая у вас там?
And what the geography of
Автомобилей,
vision
ресурсные испытания
of
проводили. Какая география сейчас?
one of the biggest platform of our trials and where our cars mostly used are in Chukotka, Ямало-Ненецк region and Krasnoyarsk region.
Спасибо. Спасибо, Александр Николаевич. Так, слово для следующего доклада Роман
The next speaker will be
Панкратьев, коммерческий директор ООО «Вездеход
is
Бурлак».
Roman Pankratiev, Commercial Director of All-Terrain Vehicles Burlak.
Добрый день. Приветствую компанию «Вездеходы Бурлак».
I want to greet all of the participants of the forum for the invitation of me to this event.
Как бы мне можно было включить презентацию со своего рабочего компьютера?
Так, кто поможет? Да, вот слайд зайти,
Ну, к сожалению, пишет, что я не могу.
Организатор
Some issue.
должен прекратить трансляцию.
Так, добрый день, выключи, пожалуйста, трансляцию.
Коллеги, извиняюсь, да, я выключил.
Все, ага. Пожалуйста, видно?
Да,
Ага.
презентацию видно, да, сейчас?
Can you see the presentation right now?
Коллеги, меня слышно? Подскажите, пожалуйста.
Все нормально, пожалуйста, продолжайте. Слушаем.
Ну, да. Компания «Вездеходы Бурлак» производит
Our company, Bullak,
на шинах сверхнизкого давления.
we're making the all-terrain vehicles on low pressure tires.
просторах Арктики
They already working on the
это надежная, практически
Arctic zone and Antarctic zone too.
низких температурах. Универсальность шасси
It's a replaceable type of the car to be used in the harsh, cold climate. It can be used for the tourism and to the mining,
Освоение северных просторов – одна из важных задач нашей страны.
exploring of our northern region is one of the most important topics of our country for today. And our car can ease this road up for you. And our vehicle was developed just for mostly for the north, for the cold climate. First of all, one of the benefits of our car is autonomy, comfort, ecology. Our all-terrain vehicles meet all the requirements, all the modern requirements. And first of all, it's ecology. We developing our own tires that can go through all the snow, all types of mud. And our car pressure in the earth as less as even the actual person can, and it does not destroy the tundra soil. And as you know, the caterpillar type wheels can damage the soil, but our car does not do it because it has actual system of the low pressure tires. And additional wheels can also be at help. It already does the transport work at the locations, and it's really good as it does not pollute the air of our competitors. And the passability of our car is pretty good, especially in comparison with Caterpillar type vehicles. And the low pressure tires with the number of 3.9, the transmission can work on better in 4 times better. You can also change the pressure on the tires without moving out from the car. So they can easily go through the mud, through the swamps. So our car Borlat can be a really useful vehicle for the northern regions. And as a repairment of our cars, the vehicles in the northern regions should have an easy replaceable parts and easy system of the repairment. and all the details are uh, you can repair a vehicle from inside the car that eases up the work for the driver. And the details for our car can be searched up pretty easily, even in the far region. And our vehicle can also swim in the mud, in the swamps, and in the water sources that does not have flow. So uh, with the speed of the 6 kilometers per hour, autonomy of our car is uh, there are lots of uh, villages and cities that are far than 2,500 kilometers, and our car can uh, into can 8 up to 8 people can live up in our car for around a month. The You can also additionally add shower and toilet comfort. It was really important for us not to only create the comfort car, but also just to relax and to work inside it. You can set up the kitchen or the sleeping place, and also you can add up the television and conditioner and get all the uh, kitchen devices that you need inside of the vehicle. And our systems inside of it are pretty very safe, and the height of the inside of our vehicle is 185 millimeters. So I can say surely that Borlaug is one of the comfortable and the best vehicles on the market. And the exploitation, the prices for the farther northern regions are pretty high. So as a transport system of this car can be used very fully, and the speed is it's much more higher than the average Caterpillar type vehicle. And it also saves up the oil because of the special engine, and it can also get into weight, can get additional weight up to 3 tons, which is little less than the helicopter eight. And you can also tune up the car. Uh, which we have three uh, universal type of customization of our car. In the March of 2020, we presented Borlaug KMU. It can also be used as a transport car in harsh climate conditions. And also we have a fire truck Purga 40. And it can also it has a lot of benefits just for the firemen, and it can be used in the regions like Yakutia, Taimur, Kamchatka, Yamal for the liquidation of the fires. Also, Alka-Burlak was tested by the Ministry of uh, Ministry of Firemen. Um, and also, we have the type of car, medicine Burlak, that can get all the needed devices for the first aid help to the people. And also, it has its own concentration of the oxygen inside of the car. The system works without the special oxygen balance. As a movable hospital, it could be really good for the villages that are located far from the centers, from the medical centers. And in September of this year, Burulak for the miners came out this year just for the mining work for the further regions for the, can be used as the a really good vehicle just to find new natural resources on our territory. There is a lot of types of our vehicles, so also we're working up to individual customers if they want to customize the car, if they want to. Our vehicles can do almost everything from the transportation to finding new natural resources. And it's really good for the ecology too. Thank you very much for your attention.
Вопрос один. Нет вопросов?
So
Понятно.
we have no further questions. It was a really good presentation.
Информация Эльдар Курбановичу Алиеву,
The
руководителю проекта
next
скоростной
speaker will be Eldar Aliyev. He's a resident of Skovko.
Сказали, что есть рекомендация Роснева. Серьезная рекомендация.
Here's the recommendation from Rasneo.
Добрый день, меня слышно?
Hello, can you hear me?
Слышно, видно. Презентация, пожалуйста.
Yes, please.
И у нас Роман Игоревич, пожалуйста, это, презентацию выключите. Да-да.
Так, пока там подключают, я еще раз напомню, это как раз участник, который должен соответствовать Друкаренко.
So it was a participant suggested to us by Mr. Drukarenko, the head of the institute, so it's a very good recommendation. And we should pay attention to it. Can you hear my, see my slides? Yes, please. My name is Eldar, and I'm the founder of High Speed ATV. We have a slightly different approach to low pressure on the ground. We are concentrating on light ATVs with 2 seats, quadricycle analogs. I will just bring you some history in order for you to understand where we are coming from. So the first buggy was created in 1970. It was a very successful model. It was marketed widely. It had 3 wheels, low pressure wheels. But unfortunately, the engineers abandoned the idea, and probably you all understand why. Because such low pressure tires are very fragile, they can tear on the rocks in the forest, and it's hard to fix them, and they're quite expensive. And starting from 1980s, the buggies acquired 4 wheels and the normal regular pressure tires, and it survived to our days like this. On the photo you can see a typical buggy and a typical track that is left when you use such vehicles. If you ride for 10 times, this kind of tracks are left. So these are used off-road in the majority of countries. It's prohibited for the buggies to be used in the wilderness. Soon Russia will also prohibit it. Buggies, as well as any other ATV, they have a very complex transmission because it has a lot of components, and that's why it weighs over 400 kilos. It's not very reliable because everything complex is not reliable. It's hard to service it, the maintenance, the spare parts costs. So how we try to solve this? You can see what we have done. It's an uncompromisingly soft travel. So you can overcome waters, logs, barriers like tires. It is very light, only 120 kilos. How did we manage? We just got rid of everything. Because in every ATV, transmission is the heaviest part. We have no transmission. There are just 18 rollers, each with a special electric drive, about 1 kilowatt each. So the total power is about 18 kilowatts, and it's very reliable. Electric motor is reliable as it is, but besides that, 18 electric motors are supplied by an independent controller, and it's all charged from 2 batteries, independent batteries. So it's practically unbreakable. But if you just tear something off or just lose 3 or even 6 rollers, the rest 12 will get you to your garage where you will be able to fix these rollers by yourself. You don't need a service. You just unscrew 6 bolts, 2 joints, and that's it. The ATV is very eco-friendly. First of all, it doesn't have any emissions, and it has very low pressure on the ground, about 0.1 kilos per meter. Today we are champions in terms of the weight on the ground. This ATV goes well on snow. It has a distributed footprint. And this concept took everything best from tracked vehicles, but at the same time it's more efficient because it also has all the best characteristics of wheeled transportation. So it combines the advantages of the two types. And you can compare it to a simple buggy. Such a small log is already a serious barrier. Of course, you will ask me about batteries and how sustainable they are in the cold. Yes, modern batteries can work to up to -20. We have, of course, lithium-ion batteries. So yes, they can operate at -20, but if the temperature is lower, you have to heat them up. And then you can operate them at -50, -60. So you can insulate it and heat it. Or you can also cool it if you want to. We also have a build of a hybrid type with a little petrol gas engine. And still that unit is quite small. It weighs less than 3 kilos. And this gives you a hybrid build. And then you can take fuel with yourself and use it whenever you need it. We're just concentrating on the light 2 seats ATVs, but we can work on heavier vehicles like cargo ATVs for 500 to 700 kilos of load capacity. Thank you. Do we have questions to this exciting and interesting solution? So what's how far can it travel? Well, at this one that you see on the video, 6 hours. It's difficult to say in kilometers, so I will tell you in time, 6 hours. But we can make it up to 9 to 10 hours of travel. It's very light, so you can actually take 30 to 40 kilos of batteries with you, it's okay. So for degrading ground, it seems like a very interesting solution. But about scaling up, probably for this type of structure, it's a problem to expand the size. No, actually we are ready to start working on larger, heavier vehicles. Actually, it's just a platform, it's a solution, so you can scale it up. Okay, then the dampers. How can you provide the load capacity? What's with your dampers? And well, a damper is not very rigid, but you see, you have a lot. We have 72 in this one. So one damper gives you like 10 kilos of force, but when it's 72 of them, it's 700 kilos. Yes, in theory, it's like that. But, okay, if several ones break, then it all just goes down like domino. And then you have to go to the garage. Okay, if up to 6 dampers break, it's not a problem. You can survive until you are in the garage. You can lose up to 3. You can lose up to 1/3 of all of the dampers. You can just turn them off. Okay, yes, I see what you mean. If you, yes, I have a question. Eldar, can you specify what's the maximal speed? And are there, is there amortization that softens the travel? Maximum speed is 85 kilometers per hour. It's not actually limited by anything. I myself, I sped up to 75 and it was okay. And further, probably we'll try to make it faster. Yes, amortization, of course, is there. We have some dampers that, but it's like real dampers, not suspension. Yes. Okay, thank you. Next speaker, Alexander Smorigin, Mirny, creator of Uranhai Snow and Swamp Going Vehicle. It's a local guy who invented a very interesting ATV. Well, everything you mentioned is very good. It's done in the factories, but myself, I make these ATVs by my own hands. We've been doing it for 30 years already, and in order to continue, we need larger, lighter wheels. Probably we'll come up with some more interesting ideas if we had such wheels, lighter and larger. The presentation is in the studio in several years ago. We had a project of finding and certifying interesting projects done by individual manufacturers. Burlak manufacturers actually confirmed that they can provide Alexander with their wheels. The same with some other colleagues. And we also have an online exhibition, the same as last year. And the motto, the slogan of this exhibition is that hands-on field practitioners should cooperate with large manufacturers. So please, manufacturers of Burlak, manufacturers of Rusak, please get in contact with Alexander Smorigin. He has some very interesting ideas because when they were starting to develop KAMAZ Arctica, they already looked into his ideas. So if they got out something useful from Mr. Smorigin, you can also, I think everybody can use his ideas. And we also have in the final documents, when we finish the climatic tests of KAMAZ Arctica here, in order to develop a method of testing, we might try to make a rally, an expedition across all Arctic districts. Эвено-Бутантайский, Жиганский, Оленёкский districts, Tiksi. So at some section of this journey, Uranhai Snow and Swamp ATV will be there with you, and you will have a closer look at it. Am I right, Alexander? Yes, absolutely. But do we have a photo for the participants in Zoom? Unfortunately not. Okay, then we will provide you with a link to the materials. Okay, thank you then, Alexander. And there is one more question. I think now we have Sergei Nemirovsky with us. If Sergei is here, we can continue with him. If not yet, okay, then I will speak then.
Муниципального предприятия Егоров Сарел Захарыч, и суть его...
Directorate of Single Customer, but he has some issues with quality. And there is a stand with his presentation. We work together with KAMAZ Arctic, and we hope that at March and April, with the scientific center, the best specialist from this center, we want to get a tour and expedition through all the northern regions, our colleagues, so we can truly test our new developments that couldn't be tested this summer because of the wildfires.
Получилось, потому что мы первоначально планировали
We wanted to test it as a passenger transport. Because of the heads of the villages wanted to have all the vehicles to themselves, all the new like in 2019. Really working, we tested them in villages, and it will bring the to the northern regions as it could be exploited it was tested in some other villages too. And as a price-wise, it was one of the best options.
Эксплуатацию машины существенно снизить. Ну,
And
вот
it
судя выступление,
would
Егор сказал,
be
что
really
примерно вот
interesting.
там было.
And
И
it was the main thesis of
как раз
one of our guests that
да,
couldn't make it to
Алексей
the presentation.
Николаевич, как раз он
And,
присутствует. Это
and the next
Сокол,
speaker will be Nikolai Alexeyev, who is the founder of Yakutsk Sokol. I think we have some technical difficulties at the moment.
Добрый день, коллеги. Слышно, да?
Good day, dear colleagues.
Да, слышно.
Данная модель квадроцикла «Сокол» в
This model of the quadricycle was constructed by the Alexei Pozyev from Novosibirsk. Me, as a resident of the Arctic zone, who lives in these conditions of Arctic and the North, for me, as my own experience, I have a concept of the all-terrain type vehicles for our people, and this vehicle, this kind of vehicle will be our quadricycle, and I met with him. We have an agreement, a partnership, and started the development in Nairobi. And we already released this vehicle for 5 years. We know that it's successful commercially, and right now there was released around 500 different models in Yakutia, and the demand is still high. Our quadricycle is used in all the Arctic zones of the Russian Federation. We send delivery to every region of the Russian Federation. So the situation is main benefit from all the different types of vehicles. It's the easy repairment, easy easy use. It's good for all the type of terrain. It's already been used in farming too, and also it's used widely in geology research. It can be transported by the Mi-8 helicopter. As an example, like geologists could go to the location by the helicopter and get this quadricycle on a helicopter and use it there. And way before, it could take up to months, and when we release this vehicle, it now takes up to 1 week. everybody who's working on the field in our region, everybody's using it. We have special centers that is registered by all the governmental processes. And if you got any questions, I can answer them. Yeah, there was a video when one of the quadricycles couldn't make to the lot. How is your quadricycle doing that? Yeah, it's no problem for our quadricycle. And as you know, this summer we had a terrible wildfire in our region. And our quadricycle could actually help to defeat the fires as making destination just to find out how big is the fire and to creation of the road to uh, so the starting the road for the bigger vehicles to fight the wildfires. So it's actually better than all other quadricycles as in actual aspect. So the clearance was up to 48 centimeters.
Настолько прост, что вот как бы.
And you don't even need the road to use our cycle. You just need a pack of our instruments and you can go anywhere. Right now we're working with Chukotka, Magadan, and western part of Russia too. Quadricycles are already popping out in our republic too. And we are finishing our roundtable this month, and if you want to have a presentation just to say, to speak, if you don't have any, okay. It was a really interesting roundtable. I thought that we have some interesting ideas to share, and as a conclusion of our roundtable,
принять. В этой части Александру Николаевичу вот слово дам. Так, слово дам, да, для того, чтобы вот огласил, что же мы хотим и какие есть заранее подготовленные предложения. И, конечно же, ждем от вас.
And of course, we are waiting for your comments from you. Dear colleagues, allow me to provide some summary. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to show it. Yesterday, we've prepared a draft of our final document. We sent it out to all of you. And today we had some amendments and some new additions. And that's why I will read you the latest version. So what do we suggest? This draft, and within a week from today, we will be collecting all the comments and feedback, and after that we'll finalize it. So those who were to take part in the working on documents were also here during this meeting. The Arctic Research Center of Academy of Science and Ministry of Economy. So we do recommend to the Higher Engineering Council as the initiator of our roundtable, together with a Chamber of Trade and Commerce of the Sakha Republic as also one of the organizers. Back in Yamal in 2014, we met there Mr. Georgy Kotiev, head of the Department of Wheeled Transportation. So anyway, until October 10th, convene a working group to develop a terms of reference for several R&Ds. These should be interagency projects. The main developers should be the Arctic Research Center and the Center for Strategic Research at the Ministry of Economy. There should be 3 R&D projects. First one, it's the relevance of cooperation with Arctic neighboring regions on the development of regulations and technical requirements to wheeled transportation, off-road transportation, supported by the Ministry of Transportation, Ministry of Arctic, Ministry of Innovation and Ecology of Yakutia, in order to use the results of this R&D, or maybe to present these terms of reference to the project office for the investment agency of Yakutia in October. The next R&D, the relevance of creation a network or a route, network of routes for testing these vehicles in Yakutia from Deputatsky, Chukurdakh, Chersky, and further across all our Arctic districts, like Srednyekolymsk, Белая гора, Хonu, Zyryanka. We also visit Aymikon, and then through Topoline we go to Verkhoyansk, then Eveno-Butantayski district, then Zhigansk, Olenyok, Saskalas, Tiksi, and through Ust-Kuyga we go to Batagay, and from there we go to Topoline. So in April we will try this route to launch tests of real vehicles in summer, which was not possible this year due to wildfires. And the third R&D project, it's with our colleagues from universities. We should consider development of a republic-wide program so that local universities and colleges could cooperate with the Russian leading universities as for training of engineers and testers of such northern vehicles. We had a few attempts at bachelor program degree of the Northeastern Federal University, but it wasn't quite successful because master students found it quite hard to go study to Moscow. But probably this time the Republic might support this program at least we worded the idea of establishing a scholarship. So maybe a Bauman Institute in Moscow and University in Nizhny Novgorod might actually support this idea, and maybe we will do something together. And again, when we do that testing of that route in the Arctic districts, we might find some good guys that could join and enroll in that program. Because we really want to train the local guys who live there in the Arctic. So probably this is the outline of our recommendations. Do you have any questions regarding the project? If you listen to it, I think it sounds quite simple and understandable. But maybe you have some feedback? Alexander? I have a question about the third program of university interaction. So is it master's program? Am I right? Yes, because at first stage it will be the most realistic one. But if we then go further, it also might be specialist programs or bachelor's programs. But again, it really depends on funding. Because if we manage to join our republic-wide program of support, then we can do it. On behalf of the University of Nizhny Novgorod, Technical University, I think it's a very exciting idea. We will think about that. And also, some of the students of the road construction department of our university, they even had apprenticeship training at factories. So maybe that's another avenue of cooperation. And for example, Kirzhak vehicle might use apprentices. Any other feedback? Hello, the Center for Strategic Research. I would like to underline that it was a very interesting roundtable, although some of the presenters didn't have cameras, and I wasn't able to turn mine on because I was working, but still, the candidates that we want to include into working group, we want to, we will send the application of who will be joining the team from our part. And of course, we will be participating in developing the terms of reference. For those who haven't heard, this is the Deputy Director General of the Center for Strategic Research of the Ministry of Economy. Thank you so much for joining us, the Deputy Director of the Center for Strategic Research. And I think this cooperation of the leading institutions like the institutions of ministries and academies, I think it is going to be successful. Myself, I would like to thank all the participants of today's roundtable. And please also take part in the development of our recommendations. We have heard all of you, and we will recommend all of your products that we've heard about today. We are a non-governmental organization. That's why we want to recommend all of your solutions. So maybe each of the companies who presented probably should send in some very brief info on exactly what you can offer in just a very short form, and we will include all of it into our recommendations. Okay? We're finishing. We're almost run out of time. So I thank all of the participants. I wish you all good luck, and we'll see you very soon at our venues. Goodbye.
Recording stopped.